How are we getting on, people? Luke here from LAGFX, back with another Sunday Sessions video. Today, I'm going to go first and give you my analysis, and then I'm going to pass you over to James, and he's going to run over his analysis and give you his bias on how he wants to tackle the markets in this coming week. Now, the two pairs I'm going to be looking at and analysing for you today is the USD CAD and the Euro JPY. So what I'm going to do is jump straight into things, fly through my analysis, and then we can hand you over to James and he's going to do the same. So looking here on the USD CAD pair, we can see how this market is very much bearish. Looking at the high here, we can see the price is obviously down here. So we know that this market is bearish. We can zoom out as well and we can see that the higher time frame structure and the overall structure of the market is very much bearish. So this obviously tells us that our bias is to sell into the market and we want to be sellers in this market. We always want to trade with the trend and not against it. So we need to be actively looking for those sell opportunities. Now, I've actually been waiting for the past week, maybe a bit longer, for price to actually trail back up into this point of interest. This has been, something I've been waiting for a while. And we have actually just seen the tap penetration and some good signs of rejection. So we have actually been able to jump in on those sell positions at the end of this week. So this being Friday. So this is a position that I currently have running. If we just zoom in slightly here, you'll see where my entry was. As you can see, we had some unmitigated areas within this down move. Price came to tap in perfectly. I jumped straight in. I have my stop loss set above this peak that was created. And as we can see, price is continuing to play out just as we want it to. Still, we've got a brilliant RR return. We've got an 8 pip stop loss followed by a 115 pip take profit, giving us a 1 to 14.5 RR. So the reason why I want to have it in line with this is because this is the lowest point price can come and continue to stay bullish. So yes, we want the market to be bearish and continue this bearish move lower. But in order for it to stay, if it was to travel bullish, this would be the lowest point that it could come to before it took that swing higher. So that's why my take profit is at this swing low. But realistically, we could have a huge take profit taking us lower to this point, which, this could be a final take profit target, assuming we have the right confirmation and we have a break in this low here. But nevertheless, I am wanting to be sellers in this market. I can look for further sell opportunities with a higher time frame retracement or some kind of pullback, and we can look to get in, assuming we have the right confirmation to actually execute a position. So just looking here on the 1 minute time frame, I can actually see an unmitigated candle. So price could come back up to this zone here. This is a last buy to sell. It hasn't been cleared, so we could potentially look for those positions. So realistically, let's just say price did continue this, what looks to be a bullish retracement now. We could look for price to set a low here, come up, and then continue this bearish move lower. And this is where we can look to get in. So I'm actually going to highlight this zone and set an alert, because this could be a position that could be placed later tonight or during the open on Monday. But yeah, my overall bias is to be a seller in this market. We need to look for those sell positions and look to execute. And, you should do the same. Look for those sell opportunities and profit with us, this coming week. Now moving over to the Euro Japanese Yen pair. As we can see, price has broken structure on the higher time frames. So this does suggest further bearishness. Again, we want to look for those sell opportunities. So what we can do is look within this whole impulsive wave lower for any unmitigated areas for price to come to trail back into, tap, penetrate and reject, and then we can look to get in. Otherwise, we can look at this impulsive bearish leg lower and we can do the same. So is there any unmitigated areas or any areas that have been, if there's any inefficiency? Yes, I can see some here. So realistically, price could actually trail back up to the high that it's set before taking these lows, and we could look to get involved there. There is quite a bit of inefficiency within this market, so we can expect that this market could potentially be a temporary bullish market, trail us back up into these highs. It's probably set at just a lower high or near enough an equal high. Trail us back up to this point somewhere around here, and then trade us down lower. Again, we could look for those buy positions, buy before the sells, but realistically we want to be trading with the market and not against it. So we could hold off and wait for those sell opportunities that come from a rejection from this zone. So those are the two markets that I'm looking at. Very quick, very brief. I've just wanted to give you zones and areas to look to enter in on. Again, we could look to get in here. So assuming price doesn't actually trail us back up, but I think it will before the close, we could look to get in on there. And then again, with the Euro JPY, I've given you a zone to look out for those sell positions also. Yeah, I hope you've enjoyed my analysis. As I said, very quick, very brief. I just wanted to get straight to the point, show you my analysis, give you my overall bias for the market. Yeah, and hopefully you guys can profit and trade alongside us using this analysis to build your bias. What I'm going to do now is pass you over to James. He's going to run over his analysis and give you his bias for the week. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have so far, don't forget to leave it a like. All the support that you guys provide is very much appreciated. We are growing every single day. It was only the other day that we reached 500 subscribers. We are now near enough 550. So yeah, it's very exciting, and it's very nice to see that our community is growing at a fast pace. Nevertheless, I'm going to pass you over now. Thank you guys for watching.
Hi everybody, hope we're all doing well. I'm going to be starting off today on the Great British Pound to US dollar. This market's actually been playing out quite nicely for me, and my early prediction, as you see from the start of the week, was actually to try and find sell positions. We can see a lot of rejection to the upside on the market, and looking fundamentally and economically, I thought that overall this market was going to make a move lower, just because there was a lot of pointers suggesting it. So looking inside of here, a mistake I did potentially make was not looking to hold a small portion of this position longer term. However, we hadn't had a full confirmation of the reversal just yet, so I wanted to make sure we got out, banked a few RR, a few percentage before understanding what the bias would be moving forward. Of course, we can see now that price has ran and liquidated a lot of the lows, and we see that we are very close now to breaking this higher time frame low, which has been my final target for some time now. In this move higher that we've seen since, when is this, the 14th of June, I was expecting price to potentially trade us back up to the zones up here to mitigate and then go lower. It seems like there just wasn't enough demand present in the market for that move to happen. We've had that reversal and now a move lower. So inside of this move lower, in the last week or so, there's three zones I see that have been left over that have been unmitigated. Pretty much we got this one at the upper range. I have an alert set there. This one here, and one that price is currently holding within. So these are the three zones I'll be looking to try and take sell positions from. However, we have to understand that we are getting onto this trend slightly late. Obviously, if we were to look inside of this region, if you just give me 1 second, grab this tool. We look inside of this region itself. Ideally, we want to be getting in on sells within this upper 50%. But unfortunately, price is in the lower 50 at the moment. There's no massive deal. Of course, getting involved in sells either way should be profitable for us. As I was saying, we have just reversed ever so slightly from the very first box. You can see exactly why I have highlighted this region as a buy to sell. Looking at price now, we have tapped in, we have mitigated the zone. We've then come to liquidate some of the lows. We do now want to see price trade back up, mitigate, continue creating some bearish structure to signify a reversal. However, there's no major swing point anywhere near price that could suggest a huge change of character until ideally probably all the way down here. So if we were to try and get in on sales, it would be slightly preemptive because we've had no clear change of character, no clear deliverance of that. So it would have to be a slightly preemptive sell. But if we're confident about our bias, about our analysis, we could look to do that, risking 0.5 to 1%. We now hop on over to the Euro USD market. This is another one I've been watching for some time. We had a move lower, and since breaking the protected low, I've had some supply zones that I've been watching to try and capitalize on sells from, just like the Great British Pound to US dollar. We see that a move down did come into and tap a demand zone, which was a last sell to buy from this accumulation in the market. We did have a nice push higher, which did actually cause a change of character in itself. So some people may have been misled here into a buying bias. However, with how much supply was in the market, I wasn't too confident about getting in on buy positions in this region, even though we did have a change of character and a reversal from a demand zone. Just looking at the supply and demand analysis, I didn't think it was the wise move. I was pretty confident we were bearish longer term, so the only side of the market I want to be on is as a seller. So now that we have broken this swing, we can start looking inside of this as an impulsive wave and trying to determine, is there anywhere inside of this that needs to be mitigated, that we can say price needs to come back up to. We could argue that we have a buy to sell here that can act as a supply zone. And looking higher, obviously we have this region, this has been mitigated out, potentially something inside of here, but I think the most likely zone is going to be this one here. I will, in my own time, go down to the even lower time frames and try and refine this further. But on first look, I think this is a nice valid zone we could keep our eye on and actually look for. So it seems like price is sort of holding beneath that. We've built some liquidity in this region, so it would be nice to see liquidity get cleared and liquidated, a change of character to the downside, and then looking for sell positions moving forward. Finally, let's go on over to the US dollar yen. Now looking inside of this market, I took this as an impulsive wave, identified two demand zones to watch for buy positions from. We see that price fell through the first one, tapped into the second where we saw an initial reversal, a change of character on the lower time frames. I then identified this as a demand zone, price tapped back in, started to have a move higher. But unfortunately, it seems that what's happened is we are still bearish following this. So we'll just have to see what happens here, whether this be a overall accumulation of price. All that I really need to see is a break of this high before then starting to look to go long. So we'll set an alert right at that region. If not, we're probably going to look to liquidate all of these lows, in which case we'll have to reconfirm our bias longer term. But as of right now, just waiting to see if that high gets broken. If so, then looking to go long. Finally, just going to hop on over to the Great British Pound to the Japanese Yen. Another market I was watching for many sell entries within this region. No clear entry confirmation was delivered, so no sells were found on my behalf, just because of the criteria that I have in order to execute a position. I need to see a couple of things. Those things weren't delivered in either of these taps of supply zones. And as of then, one thing I stated in my VIP chat is the second we break this protected low, we're probably going to then introduce a lot of supply and push down with quite a lot of volatility, which has happened. We had a lot of potential here for entries. If you were just getting in on the taps of supply zones, you were probably able to find a good 2 or 3 entries in this region. If not, like myself, I am still looking for potential entries and therefore have a few zones still drawn out. As you see, all of these acting as regions that have been left unmitigated that I would like to see price trade back to. So I have an alert set on all of these. If they are pinged, I will then go onto the lower time frames, find some entry confirmation and see where we go from there. So that is a quick run through of what I am looking at in the market, what my bias is. Apologies, my voice is a bit croaky. I am actually ill at the moment, so just trying to tank through this without coughing pretty much. However, yeah, that is my bias for these markets. Hopefully you can take something away from that, understand my bias, and actually try and implement some of these concepts and some of my ideas of the markets into your own analysis and therefore into your own trading in this coming week. If you would like updates on this analysis and actually get an insight into how both myself and Luke look to tackle these markets given the bias and the analysis we have given out, then make sure to join the learning lounge or even look into the VIP chat, because we do regular updates in there, so you can just gain an insight more into our strategies, into our concepts, and into how we are profitable as traders in the long run. But with that being said, I hope you have all enjoyed this week's Sunday sessions. If so, leave us some feedback and we will see you next week in the next video.